Brody. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up with getting these videos recorded, and I think you would be fine without them, but still, my teacher heart worries. I don't want you um confused or anything. But anyways, today's lesson was a pretty easy one, so I think that you'll do even better with it. Today we talked about equations with two operations. And it just tells us right here that sometimes an equation has more than one operation, and we know that. Now, the thing that's different is in these equations that we're going to be looking at, they're going to give us two variables. Now, when we have two variables like we do right here, I can't solve for both of my variables at the same time. I can only solve for one. So, let me zoom in here. Put my phone on silent, sorry. All right, so I have this equation and it has two variables. I can't solve for two variables unless I know what one of them is equal to, and that's what they do. They tell us what one of these variables is equal to. So it tells us that when n is equal to 1, what does y equal to? So what we do is we look at this equation and we kind of think of it like a code. So if I have n times 3, and sorry, my handwriting is terrible on here, plus 5 equals to y, and it says n needs to be 1. So this is my input. I'm going to input my 1 for my n. It's a really weird looking 1. I'm going to copy everything else down the way that it is in my equation. And now I'm ready to solve for y because I know what n is equal to. So I've input, ironically enough, I've put in the input to get my output of y. So now we go back to yesterday's lesson and what we talked about before the break of the order of operations, which we've been doing this. It's just now we're looking at possibly bigger equations and equations that may or may not have parentheses in them. So now we're just going to solve. We know that according to my PEMDAS, I'm going to do my parentheses first. So 1 times 3 is 3. Now, these are super easy right now, but it's really helpful to go ahead and get in the habit of dropping everything down. 3 plus 5 is 8. And there we go. So when n is equal to 1, when I input 1 for n, my output y is 8. So that's basically all we're doing. We're just substituting whatever variable they tell us with whatever quantity they give us. So let's take a look at the next part of this example. So we're going to stick with the same equation. Okay, we're going to stick with the same equation. So we still have n times 3 plus 5 equals y. Now it's giving us new input and output values. So now it's telling me to suppose that n equals to 2. If n equals to 2, let's find the value of y. So what I'm going to do is below this n, I'm going to input a 2 instead. So 2 times 3. This is really small right here. I should have, let me clear this, sorry. And let's get it back big like that. So I'm going to input n equals to 2 this time. So I'm going to input a 2 times 3 plus 5 equals y. And then I'm going to use my order of operations to solve. I do what's in parentheses first. That's 6 plus 5 equals y. And then 6 plus 5 is 11. So when n is equal to 2, y is equal to 11. So now they give us this table down here to fill in. It says my input is when n is 1 on our other side of our paper, my y equals to 8. We just saw that when n is equal to 2, my y is equal to 11. Now, you are probably going to notice a pattern over here, but do not rely on the pattern to solve, because what they like to do is they like to skip these input numbers. And so you might say, oh, okay, well, I have to go up for the next one, up 3. They may change this number and they're going to catch you. They're going to make you get it wrong if you don't use your calculations. So let's take a look at what it's asking us next. Repeat the process for input values of 3, 4, and 5. Record your input and output values. So my input values are going to change to these 3 numbers. So I look back up here at my equation. I think now I can kind of put it back on this. So let's use 3. When n is equal to 3, what will y be? So I'm going to rewrite this equation except with a 3. So 3 times 3 plus 5 equals y. Now I use my order of operations. And I get, oops, go back. 9 plus 5 is 14. Sorry, it's been a long day. So when this n is equal to 3, when my input is equal to 3, my output will be 14. And as you can see, there is a plus 3 pattern building. So you can think, okay, this might be 17, but you need to test it out. Don't rely on that because they're going to trick you. I promise they will. So I'm going to rewrite this equation, except for n this time, I'm going to use 4. So I need to keep my parentheses, keep everything just the way that it is, except for that n. 4 times 3 plus 5 equals y. Use my order of operations that say that my parentheses has to go first. And so when my input is 4, when my n equals to 4, my output, my y, is equal to 17. All right. And now let's take a look at 5. If at any point in time you wanted to pause these or even do the problems and then check it on these, that is perfectly fine. I know you are a smart student, so just whatever ideas you come up with. When n is 5, let's see what y is. So use that same equation. 5 times 3 plus 5 equals y. 5 times 3, I do that first because it's in parentheses. 15 plus 5 equals to 20. And my y equals to 20. So when my n is 5, when my input is 5, my output, my y, is 20. See, pretty easy. Not very complicated. The hardest thing is when you get more operations, knowing which operation to do first. And what's going to help you with that is rewriting each step. Do one step, drop it all down. Because right now it's pretty simple, but eventually they are going to get bigger and there are going to be more operations. Let's see how long this has been so far. All right, so about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to keep recording on this one because the last thing that we're going to look at together is this talk about it or guided practice. And this is especially one where you can pause it and work these out yourselves and then check it to see if you got what I got. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let me see. Let's use this one, see how this one looks. Refer to the equation n times 3 plus 5 equals y. What is the value of y when n equals 6? 7. So what this is saying right here is it wants us to use this equation and input 6 for n and then input 7 for n. So I'm going to go ahead and set up both of these equations. 6 times 3 plus 5 equals y. And then 7 times 3 plus 5 equals y. All right, 6 times 3 goes first because it's in parentheses. 18 plus 5 equals y. 18 plus 5 is 23. So when n is equal to 6, y is equal to 23. Now over here, when n is equal to 7, so I do what's in parentheses first. 21 plus 5 equals y. 21 plus 5 is 26. So when n is equal to 7, my y is 26. All right. Next one says, given the equation n plus 7 times 3 equals y, how would you find the value of y if n equals 3? So what we would do to explain our steps, we would need to rewrite our equation to show what we're doing to solve. All right, so I'm going to say 3 plus 7. Nope, leave it right there. Sorry, my teenager come in. 3 plus 7 times 3 equals y. 3 plus 7 is 10. Now, a lot of people put 21 right here. It got them. But you are adding. So 3 plus 7 is 10 times 3 equals y. And 10 times 3 is 30. So when my input equals to 3, when my n equals to 3, my y is 30. Now, what you'll do today for classwork is you're just going to do the front side of this because you did that extra bit of classwork for me with the order of operations. And tonight for homework, it's going to actually be, whoops, and I left that blank. Your homework is actually going to be, it's not on this because morning work will be on this same material. Your homework is going to be on order of operations. And you'll see that pop up. I've just got to scan it in really quickly. But I hope this has been an easy lesson for you. If not, send me a message. I'll be more than happy to help. I miss you, bud. I'm glad you're feeling better. I know you look kind of tired earlier. Rest. Don't stress about school. You are a good student. You are a great student. We're going to get this covered. And I'm here to help. And mom's there to help. So no stressing because I need you to feel better. All right, dude? Have a good night. And until the next video, see you later, bud.